be very real with you in this video, so trigger warnings to things, sensitive topics, especially about SPs. If you don't want to listen to this, that's fine. This is only my opinion, my advice, what I go through, sharing my experience. Take what resonates with you, leave what doesn't. Okay, with that being said, let's get on to this topic. My example is going to be with SP, but it can be with literally anything that you're trying to manifest or something that you want to happen into your life and that you have such a deep attachment to and that you feel like you're just constantly persisting in. And maybe you get results, maybe you haven't, maybe you're indifferent to it. I don't know what your situation is, but there's things we have attachments to, and for me it was an SP. And I'm not saying this to discourage anyone. I'm not saying you should give up on your hopes and dreams, your wishes, your manifestation. I don't think you should. But there's a point when you start realizing, where are you giving all of your energy? And is it worth the suffering at some point to try and try and try? And when it comes to SPs, specific persons, romantic relationships, even friendships, but for the sake of this video, romantic relationships, we get so attached to the idea of someone, the memories of someone, that when letting go, it becomes so difficult because that version of you is essentially dying. I think letting go of a relationship, especially if you felt genuine, if you know it was love, and then having to let go of that, whether they leave you or you leave them, and no longer seeking to manifest it back. Once you hit that point, it's the closest you're gonna get to death, because you're leaving your old life behind, you're letting go of your past memories, and you're letting go of the entire future you had planned. I'm trying to find better lighting. It might be a little more fuzzy now, but I don't want the blinds reflecting. Sometimes we give so much of ourselves to a person that simply just doesn't want us. And I think sometimes you get to a point where you realize it's not benefiting you anymore. I want to ask you a question, and I want you to be absolutely honest and not what you think is the right answer. But if you had to go through everything over again, would you? And I know you're probably going to say yes. That's the immediate response. That's what I said, that I'd go through it 100 times again just so I'd have more time with this person so I could experience love again. But then ask yourself, if this dynamic that you're in right now never changed, if you never received anything more, because I know we talk about unconditional love and it's okay to give love, and even if you don't receive, you're okay with that because you want to give yourself and you choose that. And I've done the mantra, I know. But truly sit with yourself and ask, if nothing changed, if he or she didn't change their behavior, their actions that sent you into the spiral in the first place, would you stick around? Could you, how long could you survive? How long before the suicidal thoughts kick in? How long before you're panicking and throwing up and unable to eat? And how long before you completely lose yourself? And how long can you sit in that deepest dark knowing that nothing's going to change? Because I know as manifestors and believers, we often say, you know, you have to act as if you have. And also the law of assumption, also the law of attraction. There's two different ones. And assuming that things are going to get better and rewriting your specific person to make them better. And they just pretending, basically living in the fantasy land and doing the meditations and doing the scripting and doing the visualizing over and over and over to the point you start losing yourself, to the point it actually becomes toxic to yourself, to the point it's actually hurting you more than just letting go. And I could get emotional when I say this because I'm going through it all, and that's why I'm talking about it, because you're not alone in what you're feeling. And community can help, even if it's just a screen. But at some point you realize you're actually, what you thought is selfless and what you thought you actually wanted is actually self-sabotage, is actually a form of abuse to yourself, is actually another form of self-harm. Is because you're giving all your power, you're still putting them on the pedestal by trying to change yourself or trying to change the story, trying to change them, because at the end of the day, at the end of the night, you're still giving all your energy to this relationship, to this person, to this outside source. And I know you were in love. I know you loved them. And I'm talking to myself here. But at what point do you finally say, I'm actually just abusing myself? Because 3D is still showing it might be physical abuse. God forbid, I hope it's not, but it might be physical abuse for you, or maybe it's neglect, maybe it's coldness, or maybe it's just that they can't tell you that they love you anymore. Maybe it's just them even staying with you, but still reaffirming they don't want you. Not texting you, not calling you, not putting any effort to see you. And at some point, it's like, yeah, you're in the relationship, but how much more abuse can you take before you realize it's just not worth it anymore? And I think that's when you finally hit the point of letting go. I know. I'm being raw and I'm being real. And I say it out of love for myself, and I also say it out of love for you watching, that sometimes you have to put that energy back into you, because if you keep manifesting them to be better, but then the 3D is not conforming, you're triggering yourself, and you're triggering that flight or fight, and it's triggering the chase. And that's not to say you're never going to come back together happy, healthy, and whole, that you're never going to get that, but the more you push, the more resistance there is. And it doesn't have to be that way, but for some people it is. And sometimes you just realize that you're done being the one to give everything and being the one to constantly try. Because at what point do you tell yourself, okay, I'm the one manifesting. I'm the one manifesting your health, my health, our health. I'm the one manifesting. I'm the one doing the inner work. So that way we'll be our best selves. But you would never do that for me. You would never try for me. In fact, you were so comfortable walking away. You were so comfortable just dropping my shit off. Or you were so comfortable being cold and indifferent. Or you were so comfortable not giving me an explanation. Or whatever the case may be for you. You were so comfortable hurting me. Doing actions you know would hurt me. And doing it anyways. You were comfortable forcing yourself to fall out of love. You were comfortable detaching from me. And then sitting with me while you detach, but keeping me on a leash, so that way you're fine when you leave while I have to suffer alone now. But I will still manifest for you. I will still try for you. I will still give my all. And at some point you just realize you want somebody that's not going to make you try. You want somebody that's going to give that effort, that is not going to fumble you. And at some point, it's okay to say, I love you unconditionally and I do forgive you, but that doesn't mean this situation is what's best for me. And it's gonna hurt so bad more than anything else. I'm not gonna sit there and lie to you. The panic is real. The dread is real. You will have moments of where you binge eat because you're just trying to satisfy a craving, and then you're going to have moments where you're purging and you can't eat and you're throwing up everything you eat. You're going to have moments where you're starving yourself, and you're going to have moments where you're indulging in Oreo cookies only. You're going to have moments where you're laying on the floor in complete panic, wishing God would take your life away because it would be so much easier. But then you're also going to have moments of realization and acceptance that love was beautiful when you had it, and your love is beautiful, and you are beautiful, and you are magnetic, and it's not you. And just because they choose to let go and walk away does not mean you're not worthy of love. It only means you have to love yourself. It only means finding yourself. And when people always talk about self-love, oh, just love yourself. But like, how the hell do you actually do that? It's deeper than just taking a bath and shaving your legs. It's deeper than going on morning walks and doing yoga. While that is a part of it, and you do need to do physical self-care, it is deeper than that. And you're not going to figure it out until you realize your triggers and what's triggering you. And for me, it's my childhood trauma and my wounds. And I know everyone's like, oh, it's childhood trauma, you need to fix that. But the thing is, you're never going to. And that's the thing, you have to be comfortable knowing you're never going to heal. You have to be comfortable knowing that there are going to be moments of depression, there are going to be moments of anxiety, and there's also going to be moments of bliss and euphoria. And that's the thing, is learning how to navigate all of the emotions solely by yourself. Because for people that have anxious attachment styles, we rely so much on other people. And that's not that we didn't love them just because we're attached to them, because you can be anxiously attached to someone while also love them. It's not just black and white. People say, well, if you're just using me or you're just attached to me, then you don't love me. But the thing is, you can still love somebody and love their characteristics and love them as a person and want to be better for them, while also being anxiously attached to them. At this segment, I'm just gonna get personal because of experience and how I explain things. I have a lot of abandonment issues, and I'm a child of an alcoholic, so there's just so much neglect. I was neglected, and I still feel neglected, and I still feel like every day I have to see the people that they didn't physically abuse me. They weren't intentionally abusing me, but neglected me. And I have to see the people that continuously make poor decisions over my well-being. I live with the people that choose substance abuse over me and will always choose that and always choose codependency over me. And so I never felt genuine love, and I felt guilty. I felt like I was spoiled and that I was just overreacting for not feeling love from parents, and that because they'll sit there and the toxic people will sit there and tell you you have it good and your traumas don't matter, or whatever you experienced wasn't bad enough, so you can't feel the way you do. But the thing is, you can, and you do, and it doesn't matter if you have a perfect childhood, a perfect family, you're still gonna have wounds from something. I also had wounds from school because I was so anxious. A little 8-year-old girl that would hide under the table when I ate at the cafeteria because I was so scared people watched me eat and they would judge me for how I would eat. And it's just all this pain. And like teachers, I felt like teachers hated me and nobody ever saw me, and I was just the last kid. I was always the last runner up. I always felt so stupid because I never got any questions right. I never accomplished anything in school. I was always left behind, and teachers didn't understand that my brain just worked a little differently, and so they were so quick to leave me behind. And so I felt abandoned by my peers because I genuinely had no friends growing up. I was my only friend. I felt abandoned by my parents, and I felt abandoned by my teachers, and so I finally get the relationship that in my mind felt like love. And I'm not saying there wasn't love at times, but sometimes you realize that it's not pure love. It's also your childhood wounds. It's also a reflection. It's God showing you, because if I didn't have this relationship and everything reflected back to me, if I didn't feel love from him, but also unsafety from him, then I would never, this wound wouldn't have resurfaced. And the thing is, I'm actually grateful it did. I'm grateful it did because it's when you finally find yourself, and when you finally find peace with yourself, when you know which direction to take, when everything kind of, even if it hurts, there is still an underlying sense of calm and a sense of gratitude, because you realize, like, yeah, I was screwed over. I was abused. I was neglected, and I, for so long, felt like it was my fault. And you might be going through something similar, and the thing is, that's when you do your affirmation work. And I don't mean those silly little, I love myself. I mean, you get real, and you get deep. And when you feel like dying, you sit there and talk to that little girl or the little boy that didn't have stability, and you go back in your mind and you envision yourself just giving them a hug. Because think about this, when we're talking to our higher selves, asking for guidance for the future, what to do, we are talking to a future version of us. What about the little kids that needed the guidance for the future selves? This is us. This is our spirit going back in time. This is us when we were 13 and learning how to manifest for the first time and asking our spirit guides and asking our future higher self. This is our future higher self going back in time and giving them the answers, so don't leave them neglected. You cannot leave your child self-neglected, okay? You have to go back. You have to do the inner work, and you have to talk to them. Talk to them like a parent. I am parenting myself because I didn't have that. And so I had to parent myself as a kid, and I have to parent myself now, and I have to talk to her like, you're not stupid, okay? You are capable. Your brain's just a little different. That doesn't mean you're stupid. You don't have to be scared of falling behind. You're going on your own time, your own pace. Who is to say what's right and wrong? Who is to tell you that just because you struggle in school doesn't mean you're going to struggle financially? Like, it doesn't matter. We are all on our own pace. We are all living our own lives, our all time. Like, I don't care if you're 99 years old. You still have a life worth living, and you still have a life where you are worth being spoken kind to, and where you are worth being shown kindness and gentleness. And it all starts with you, because if you cannot even look into your past self and say, I love you, say, I forgive you for certain things, say you are not cringy, because one of the biggest things is, like, I was so cringy back then. No, you weren't. You were living life and you were having fun. That doesn't make you cringy. That makes you human. Who cares? So stop hating on yourself for being a kid. Like, just go back, sit with yourself, go back in time, and tell yourself that you love you. And that, no, what you went through was not normal. What you went through was not fair. What you went through, you did not deserve. And once you really start embracing that, that is when your subconscious starts rewriting itself. That is whenever you step back into this moment of time, even though it is so hard and it's so easy to daydream, and you start telling yourself the same thing, because what would future you looking back want to tell you? Because right now you're a child. Right now, I don't care if you're 99, I don't care if you're 100, I don't care if you're 10, I don't care if you're 13, I don't care if you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, it doesn't matter. Right now, you're a child. What would your future self, the parent that you deserve, be telling you? If you had a child and they were going through heartache, what would you tell them? And the thing is, once you realize that, that's whenever you start making actual change. And once you start seeing the 3D for what it is, a past reflection of old manifestations, of old thoughts. And that's what you let go of. That's when you step into your new reality and the new you. And it's going to take time. It's going to take fail. You're going to fail. I'm sorry to say that, but you're going to fail over and over and over again before you get up. And then you get up and then get up. And sometimes you're going to want to end it. I hope to God you don't. But sometimes it happens, and sometimes you will be panicking and want nothing more than to experience love from another, because maybe you didn't get it, maybe because you never got it. And so you're so used to the chase, you're so adapted to this twisted reality of what love is, and that's just how it is, and that's just how relationships are, but really it's not supposed to be that way. And this is a lesson, and I know I was there. I got tired of people telling me, well, it's just a lesson, you just have to learn. Like, fuck the lesson. But it really is, because even though I'm going through the most tremendous change and the tremendous heartache, because your heart feels, your heart has thoughts, you can't ignore it. Your brain, soul, and heart are all different things trying to work together, but going through a chaotic moment. And so it's so hard to navigate, because everything's saying something different. Everything's feeling something different, and so that's why you just don't fucking give up. And I don't mean that, like, don't give up on your person, don't give up on your manifestations, but I mean don't give up on yourself. Don't lose yourself anymore, because it is not worth the pain. And so if somebody wants to leave, and if they made that decision, let them leave, because it doesn't mean it's over. I'm not saying they're not coming back, but it means you need to find your self-respect enough to say, fine, there's the door. If that's where you want to be, if you want to be cold, if you want to be mean, then be it. Because I'm not losing myself again, because the kid in me had to go through that over and over with nobody to help them. So I'm finally choosing me to help me. And you have to do that too, to really, really heal. That is what self-love is. And the thing is, if it is the law of attraction, then of course we're going to keep attracting these negative relationships or these negative feelings, because that's deep down at the moment what we are, because we are abusing ourselves, because we are neglecting ourselves and staying in a relationship that you know deep down, even if you don't want to admit it, but your subconscious knows it, is not serving you any good purpose anymore. That is a form of emotional abuse and neglect. And I'm sorry to say it, I know it's a tough pill to swallow, but it is. And so at some point you just realize, like, it's not worth it anymore. And it took me. It's still taking me. I'm not saying I'm fully recovered. I'm not saying I have all the answers. It takes them giving you breadcrumbs. It takes them being mean over and over and over. It takes the disappointment. It takes the suffering. It takes it so many times. It might take it for years before you finally realize you are worth more than that. And that's when you fully start embracing self-love. Self-love is when you realize you are worth more than that. And you might not have the courage to walk away right away. And that is okay. I'm not saying you have to cut anyone out of your life. I'm not saying you have to give up on your desired reality or your desire with this person. I'm not saying you have to give up on them changing for you, because they absolutely can. Everyone can. But it's also realizing, are you expecting too much? If in 10 years you're still in this exact same state, you're stagnant, and that energy needs to be released. And sometimes you can only release it once you have been hurt to the point of all you want to do is be in a coma. When you just want to stop feeling, but you can't. And sometimes it takes them proving that to you over and over before you finally say, I'm worth more than that. Don't even say that they're a bad guy or a bad girl or a bad partner. It doesn't even mean that they are intentionally hurting you. A lot of our pain and reactions are subconscious, and then we just do it. And I'm not saying you guys will never be back together, and I'm not saying you don't have to want to be back together, or that you don't want something good, because at some point y'all were in love. And I'm not saying that love is never gonna find you again, but I'm at the point where it's almost like I don't want it to. And when you're at that point, when you realize, even if it was just a subtle thought in the back of your mind that's slowly presenting itself forward, when you realize you don't want it to, that you no longer seek that, when you no longer seek their validation, that is when the real healing comes in, and it's gonna take time. But you might have to write a list of things that they did to you that was crummy. And the thing is, if you are at a place where you want to let go but you don't know how, or you don't even want to let go but you know you should, that's whenever you start coming back to self and you listing off your good traits. Tell yourself how proud of you are for how much you love somebody. It is, girl, boy, I don't know who you are watching, but you are not stupid for pouring your heart out. You are not stupid or dumb for trying your absolute best and trying over and over and over, even whenever they give you a big middle finger in the face, basically. You are not bad. In fact, you need to be proud of yourself in these moments, and tell yourself how proud you are, and tell yourself how in love with you are, because you know your heart is good. You know you are a good partner, and you can embrace that. And the thing is, you don't have to be in love. And that's the thing I'm trying to figure out. If you want to be in love, that's fine, but I don't want to. I don't want to love. I don't want to have attention. I want the solo travel girl life right now. And I'm really just like knowing that, and knowing that this person is not serving me, and that I'm not being treated how I should be treated. Self-love and self-respect is knowing to step away and knowing to step back. And I'm not saying you have to break up. I'm not saying you have to go no contact, but maybe it's time. Maybe you gotta rip the band-aid off. Maybe you have to let it sizzle out. Maybe you have to go numb. It's personal to everybody. Maybe you'll go through it all, because I went through it all. But I know at the end of the day, like, there is also relief and gratitude knowing, like, I had the experience and now I have the emotional maturity to understand what this is, because in the past I would have never been able to realize this, but I can realize it now, and that is growth. That is maturity, is seeing different from a different perspective. switching the lens. I know this video is long and emotional and might be all over the place, so I hope you can understand what I'm saying. I'm speaking from personal experience, personal feelings, and what I needed to hear, what I still need to hear. And sometimes I just think if a person truly loves you, they would not walk away from you. Okay? And at that point, if you realize you are giving all your energy and attention to someone, maybe not even physically, but mentally, always reminiscing. You're going to reminisce. It's part of the process, but not trying to catch yourself or always trying to manifest them back. And I'm calling myself out right now, okay? And always trying to manifest a better future for you guys when they're not even trying to do that. At some point, why do you think, like, why? Why? What's the point in it? Why can't you just manifest your own happiness? Put that attention onto you, because if they're not willing to do that same for you, why should you have to do it for somebody else? It is truly time to sit there and be selfish, because it's not selfish to say, I am a good person and I choose me first. And choose yourself first every single time. And when it gets hard and you feel like calling them at night, because night is so sensitive, you don't. And I know I have, but at some point when you do it and they give you that same response, that same coldness, eventually you're gonna go numb to it, or you're gonna realize it's not worth it. And you start talking to yourself like this instead. You start watching self-help instead. You watch the Harry Potter movies for the 100th time over again instead. Because think about this. If you feel this alone and this empty with them, or you feel this alone and empty without them, why would you stay with them? Because eventually you're going to heal and you're not going to need them anymore when you're without them. But if you're with them, you're still going to get those breadcrumbs. You're still going to get that same behavior, and it's just going to take years of more suffering before you finally get out. So I know it freaking sucks, and I'm not saying it has to be an end forever, but I also don't want you to hold on to the hope anymore of that they're coming back, or that they're going to be perfect, or that everything's going to be fine, and that you're just waiting for a future, because I feel like you're underwhelming yourself, and you're not fully allowing God's plan in. And the thing is, the more you try to just focus on a future that could be, the more you're gonna hurt yourself in the end. And so letting go is letting go of the ideals, of the planning, and just living moment by moment. I'm gonna make a video on how to truly live moment by moment, so subscribe for that, self-plug. But I also just think at some point you have to put the power back on yourself, because you're still putting them on a pedestal by always trying to manifest them to be better. And I want you to stop manifesting. And I'm talking to me right now. That's why I say, if you resonate with this, take this advice. If you don't, then leave it, because everybody's experience is different. But I no longer want to manifest self-help and being a better person in the hopes that they'll see that and they'll come back. I'm done with that. I want to manifest self-help, stability, safety for me, so that way when they do come back, because it's inevitable, I know it is, I can be strong enough to say, you know what, no, not this time. I deserve so much more than what you have given me in the past, and I don't care if you're changed now. I did not feel safe with you or secure, and I'm not going through this trauma pain again. And so I want to manifest better health and stability and safety, so that way I can get to the point where I am no longer manifesting to have them back. I'm no longer manifesting better health, so that way they'll see me and validate that. I want to be the one that validates me. I want my power back. And so it's pulling that power back into you. So I hope this helped. I actually don't hope it resonated. I hope everybody's healthy and happy. But yes, that's my experience, and that's my advice to you if you're going through a tough time, especially with an SP, and things are going to be okay. And I know everybody says that and you're tired of hearing that, but that's the affirmation you have to tell yourself until you believe it, and you're not going to believe it. And I don't think you will ever fully believe it, but you persist anyways. That's what you persist in. You don't persist an SP anymore. You persist in you because it is time. This moment is for you, not for anybody else. You don't have to seek love or attention from anybody else. You seek love and attention from you, and that starts with knowing when it's time. Even if you don't know, but you know you should. It starts with this. So, stay healthy. If you need to talk, you can message me on Instagram. I will always try to respond to you guys, because I know it's so hard to be alone sometimes, and sometimes all you seek is solitude. So just know when it's time to step away.